Okay, so everything we're still discussing still borders around the market structure. And like Rosina, no, market structure is not just about one thing. It's about the totality of what is happening in the market. When you take a broader look at the market, and like I said, the first thing you do, or when you open your chart, what do you see? Who is leading? Is it the buyers or the sellers? What sort of market are you seeing? Is it a trending market? Or is this market ranging? Or is it a choppy market where you should stay off? All right. So for the sake of today's learning, we'll be focusing on a trending market. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, let's write. So write this down. I hope you have your notes. Trending markets are markets that characterize trending markets are markets that are characterized by repeating patterns of higher highs, and higher lows. Repeating pattern of higher highs, and higher lows. So stop. In brackets, in front of these higher highs and higher lows, write uptrend, just like you have on my screen. Uptrend. So stop. That's what that higher highs and higher lows in. After you break it down, then continue. Or what do you call this? Is this semicolon? Then put lower highs and lower lows. You know, the first one is higher high and higher lows. The second one is lower highs and lower lows. Lower lows. In brackets, that's a downtrend. Just stop. I've not written that down. If you've written that, drop a 1 so I can proceed. Okay, just one person. What of Sabina? Sabina, have you written everything on your screen?
No, ma'am.
So where did you stop?
I'm at lower highs and
Lower lows. Can you see my screen? I'm sharing my screen. It's on the screen. Lower lows.
your screen.
Lower lows. Can you see the screen? So lower lows, and that lower lows, I said put in bracket, downtrend.
Yes, ma'am, done.
Okay, first off. So write this continuation. In other words, we have two types of trend. In other words, we have two types of trend. Have you written that down? In other words, we have two types of trend.
Yes, ma'am.
The downtrend and the uptrend. Stop. So Are we all done? So I can explain a little.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, last time we focused on ranging markets. So today, like I said, we are focusing on trending markets. Now, like the name implies, trend. You know, when they say something is trending, let's say in your environment, say, oh, this is a song that is trending. That's like saying this is a direction everybody is going towards. If this is a particular cloth that is raining, you know the way people say something is raining, okay, it's good. That's like saying it's trending. Now you don't want to move opposite of where people are going, is it not? So if everybody's saying, oh, they are listening to Kiss Daniel at the moment, what it means is Kiss Daniel is trending. If you're listening to something else, then of course you're out of vogue, right? So if the major participants in the market are saying it's time to move up, then you too want to face the direction everybody is facing. Only you cannot win against the majority. And what is the majority in the forex market? I've told you before repeatedly, the big guys are the ones who control the markets. The banks, the hedge funds, the government. So if those people would determine the trend as saying they are facing up, meaning they want to go on the uptrend, they want to go on a buy move, it only makes sense for you to follow in that direction. Hope you know. So if you're moving against them, definitely you can't win. Is it not? So that's what we talk about. So it's either the market is going up or it's going down, especially when it's not ranging. Today our focus is not on ranging market. So 30% of the time, write this down. 30% of the time, 30 to 40% of the time, 30% to 40% of the time, I've written that down. 30% to 40% of the time, the market is always trending. Full stop. Also put this down. Every trend, note, in fact, asterisk this part very well because it's very important. It's very important. Every trend, I hope you've asterisked it. Every trend has two moves. Comma. Every trend has two moves. The first move is known as the impulse. Impulse. Look at my screen. Impulse. When you say you do something on impulse, it comes naturally. Impulse, or another word I use, major. Major move. Full stop. While the second move is called the retracement, or call it corrective, just like correction, you're correcting something. Corrective move, or I like to call it resting move. Resting, when something is resting, when the body is at rest, resting move. Full stop. Let me know if you've written that down. If you're done writing that, put a 1 on the chat box. Okay, great. Now, when I say the market has two moves, one is a major move, one is a pullback. So what it means is the major, which is the impulsive move, is the major thing. So in an uptrend, this is how the market looks. Let me erase that and Let me draw something so you get an idea of what I'm saying. Now, when the market is on an uptrend, I know most people expect something that looks like this. So just a moment. I know people want something that looks very straight. People want something that looks just like this. I don't know why this is not dragging. What's happening? Hold on. I know you want something that looks very straight like this for an uptrend, but like I said, the market does not move that way. This is how the market moves on an uptrend. It goes up. That's the impulse move. Remember when we buy, the goal is for us to keep going up. Who remembers that, right? For the market to move up, rest a little. Rest means it's doing the opposite. That's a corrective move. It's moving in the opposite direction. In fact, without a corrective move, a trend is not healthy. That's the real truth. If you're just looking at the chart where the market is just buying, buying, buying and going up, and it's not coming down, you should be skeptical, right? Because if it doesn't come down, it doesn't give people who miss the beginning of that trend the opportunity to join the trend. So the essence of having an impulsive move is for the market to look this way. It goes for another buy move. Comes again. Hold on. Sorry. So this is how the market moves. Now, yeah, each time the market went up, that was a major move. That's the impulsive move. And that is what you want to do. You want to buy. Each time the leg went up, you want to buy. So even if you miss, because most traders, if you're not paying attention, you miss the beginning of the impulsive move. You might miss the buy. All you need to do is just wait for the correction to happen, look for the next zone, and join the buy again when the next leg is about to move. So these are all the places I will be buying. I'll be buying. Right? Now, when the market, write this down in your notes. Because I notice some people don't know the difference. They just like, oh, it's an uptrend. They join anywhere. You can't just join. So let me tell you what you need to write down. Notes. As a trader, to determine whether the market is trending or not, to determine whether the market is trending or not, you need to analyze the market on higher time frames. Higher time frame. Everything I tell you, notes. Please asterisk it. It's important. Even if you can write in capital letter is important. That's key. You need to analyze it on the higher time frame. So if you really want to understand the market trends, you need to analyze on the higher time frame. At least the minimum should be H4, meaning on the 4 hours time frame. At least the minimum should be H4. First off, at least the minimum should be H4. That's 4 hours time frame. First off. So let me explain what I mean by that. What I mean is, if I said the minimum should be H4, what it means is, and you analyze, you should go for things that are even higher than H4. Do you get? If I want to trade, I start on the weekly. I want to see how last week closed. If last week is looking like an uptrend, and I'm like, okay, we are still on an uptrend. I come to the downtrend, to the daily time frame. I still see an uptrend. Then I can tell, oh, this market is really on an uptrend. I won't go on a 15 minutes and go and start analyzing and seeing something that looks like an uptrend. I'll be thinking we're on an uptrend. No, you don't go on a 30 minutes. Even 1 hour is risky. So if you must check the trend, start from the weekly, daily charts, then you can now stop on the 4 hours to know where you are. Do you understand? So if you understand what I just explained, drop an 8, and I'll tell you the next thing to write. Okay, good. So write this down. To trade an uptrend, you need to buy at the beginning of every impulsive or major move. Remember, impulsive and major move is the same thing. So right again, let me say what I just said. So to trade an uptrend, you need to buy at the beginning of an impulsive move or a major move. First off, that's how to trade it. You want to buy at the beginning of an impulsive move or a major move. We're still talking about the same thing. So what it means is, I hope you've written that down. Let me know if you've written that down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So when I say you need to buy at the beginning of it, remember that an uptrend has 2 moves, right? That retracement, each time it's retracing, is doing the opposite. So if we say something is on an uptrend, what it means is the major move will be the buy, because uptrend means it's going up. So the retracement move is like the opposite move. And what's the opposite of the buy is a sell. So every time it's selling, that's to tell you that even though the market is on an uptrend, you will see both buys and sell in an uptrend. But your own job is not to jump in on the sells. All these short lines you're seeing on the screen was where the market was selling, right? As an experienced trader, I won't go and be trading all the sells. I'm saying, oh, you can see this was the beginning of a retracement move when it came down. I'm not going to be trading the beginning of a retracement move. In fact, traders who jump in at the beginning of a retracement move, they always lose their money in a trend. That's the truth. Because imagine you are buying here, and that's when the market wants to sell. Imagine you come here at the tip, you're buying, and the market wants to sell. What will happen? You lose your money, is it not? So your own goal is to buy at the beginning of every impulsive move. So meaning, as this move, the buy move wants to start, I join here, or I'm coming in here, or I'm buying here, or I'm buying here. So the question I expect you to ask is, okay, how do I know that this move is about to start an impulsive move? Is it not? So I know when to join. So write this down. In order to identify the beginning of an impulsive move, you must learn to draw support and resistance. I think this class is going to take us into our next class. You must learn to master how to draw support and resistance. Right? First up. Now let me say this. You know the good thing about an uptrend is not complicated. Once you open your charts, you'll be able to see whether this market is an uptrend or a downtrend. By simply looking at it, you can tell, is this market moving up and is it moving down? That's how you know whether a market is in an uptrend or not. Now, remember I told you at the beginning that an uptrend is characterized by a series of higher highs, right? And higher lows. Who remember I said that? If you remember, I said that at the beginning of this class. Oh, shifted it. If you remember, I said that, drop a 1. Drop a 1 on the chat box. Don't mind my trend line that isn't so straight though. Good. Now, who remembers what is support and resistance is? Who remembers what is support and resistance is? I think I gave you that in our very first class, okay?
Yeah, the support is a zone, like an area in the past where the market has bought at least twice in the past.
Good. At least twice in the past. That's the keyword. Now, notice while a resistance is where the market sells, is it not? Now, the good thing is, looking at what I drew on the chat box, you know, this is just an illustration. It's an uptrend. See what happens. Remember, support is where we buy. So what it means is most likely everywhere I wrote the buy, where that impulsive move started, is always a support zone. Do you get what I just said? Everywhere the impulsive move, in fact, the very first buy started around the support zone. Everywhere. I remember we always say it's an area, it's a zone. Let me drag this a little. Yeah. When you pay attention. Now look at the boxes I drew on the screen. Now in an uptrend, remember a resistance is where the market sells. Who knows that? So notice something. The very first time this market moved up, the very first time it moved up from the very first support. This was the beginning of this uptrend. But at some point when it gets to the resistance zone, the first roof. Now see this like as if you're going on a 5-story building. Everybody imagine you being on the floor of a 5-story building. The very first floor you are on is the first support. Remember, what do you do from the floor? The highest you can do or the best you can do on the floor is to go up. So that floor is like your first support. When you get to the first roof above you, what would happen? Once you are able to break above that roof, you need to come down now. Is it not? If you agree with me, put it now on the chat box. Put it now on the chat box. If you agree with me that when you get to the roof of your room, you're going to have to come down until you figure out a way to break the roof, is it not? Good. Now, at that roof, in the same market, that roof is also known as resistance. So at that point, the market first, the buyers push the prices up. When they get to the first resistance, they need to come down. That's why you see that sell happening. So when we say the market sell at resistance, we are not lying. It's still the same rule, right? Even though we're on an uptrend, when it gets to the first roof, it must respect the roof. And that's why we are seeing that pullback, resting move. It's just like the market has been running. All the time it was buying, it was like running because you're on an uptrend. But you know, when you run after some time, you need to take a breather. You need to rest, right? So it got to the first roof. He has to come down and sell a bit. But what happens? It goes to the next support again, right? Or a trend line area. And it starts another impulsive move, right? Meaning it start buying again. But at some point, this is why it's dangerous to trade a pullback. Because some people say, oh, I thought they said we'll sell our resistance. You go and join the sell. That is when you're on a downtrend. If you join the sell, what happens? Let's say the next buy it takes and it gets to the roof. Instead of selling this time around, it decides to break because it's still going to the 5th floor. It moved from first, so it just got to the roof of the 1st floor now. It broke above it. So if you were selling, what would happen? You'd be losing out because the market just broke through the roof, right? So it went from the ground floor. The next move like this, it probably broke it and went to the 2nd floor. Oh, when it got to the roof of the 2nd floor, it rested again. But look at, I told you that how to trade a range market, you need to wait for the breakouts and wait for the market to come back and retest. Now, who noticed that where we are waiting to buy the 2nd time was the same place that sold before? So in an uptrend, the previous resistance will become the new support. If you understand that, let me know. Like the roof before that was stopping us was now what is supporting us. Imagine you being on a story building. You know what is supporting you if you're on the 1st floor will be the roof to those who are downstairs. If you understand that, drop a 1. Like if you're on the 1st floor of a building, what will be your own floor if you're on top? Will be the roof to those that are underneath you on the ground floor. If you agree with that, please drop 1 on the chat box. Let me be sure you understand this concept very well. Good. So when I say in an uptrend, the roof will become the support. I hope you understand now, because the previous resistance will always become the support. So what you want to do, in case you miss the first move, is to look for the next resistance the market has broken and has not come back to retest. You now be waiting around that same zone to enter a buy. That's how you trade it. Look at it again. The next time it moves up, it breaks another resistance zone. Meaning this time around, it breaks that 1st floor. It breaks the roof of it. Or it goes up. And once the roof is broken, what does it become? It becomes a support to those on the 2nd floor again. So you wait again for it to come back down into that same zone where it broke out from. That's why in this envelope, in this box I put, you see the buys to the right. There's a left where you have the sell. That means the previous, every roof in an uptrend is a potential buy area. Write that down in your notes. Every resistance, write this down in your note. Every resistance in an uptrend is a potential buy area. Every resistance in an uptrend is a potential buy area. So I hope you understand why it's a potential buy area, right? Because it's like you moving from the 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor, 5th floor, until you get to the end of that floor. Before you're like, okay, probably the market wants to rest here. It wants to start ranging, or it decides to break out totally and still creating new highs. All right. Now, this is what you now need to note. How you know an uptrend is still an uptrend is because the market is going to be creating series of higher highs. Remember at the beginning, we wrote higher highs and higher lows. In an uptrend, higher lows is going to be creating higher highs. Higher highs just means as in highs. When you say something is high, that's what I mean. So don't let that English confuse you. Higher highs. Okay. It keeps creating that high. So like you can see this place, this was higher than this. This was another higher than this. This again will be higher than this. That's how you know the market is on an uptrend. As long as it keeps trading more highs, the last high must be higher than the previous high. That's how you know. Don't worry, we'll still go on the charts and look at an example of what I'm saying. That's how you know this market is moving up. It keeps creating series. So write this down. Notes. You can tell a market is on an uptrend if it keeps creating a series of higher highs. You can tell the market is on an uptrend if it keeps creating a series of higher highs. You can tell the market is on an uptrend if it keeps creating a series of higher highs. You can tell the market is on an uptrend if it keeps creating a series of higher highs. First off. So I hope you understand that higher highs I'm talking about now. You can tell the market is an uptrend. The more it keeps creating a series of higher highs. If you understand that, drop a 9 on the chat box. Drop a 9 on the chat box. Okay. So, just a moment. So the next thing I expect anyone to ask me, sorry, I'm back. How do you now trade an uptrend? Is it not? Who wants to give it a try? Let me ask Toby, how do you think you want to trade an uptrend? Toby, give it a try.
Okay, ma. For us to trade this uptrend, we would have to wait for it to come to the previous resistance level.
Previous resistance. Okay, that now became what? Support.
That would be,
remember?
Yes, support.
And
Yes.
that's what we mean when we say we are waiting for a retest. Anytime, I told you when you were discussing about ranging market, I said when the breakout happens, wait for the retest. It's like if it breaks to the upside, it's like the beginning of an uptrend. You wait for it to come back to that area, retest it. Of course, when we go into candlestick patterns, you now understand the kind of candles you want to see at that zone, that resistance zone that now became support. There's some price, we call it price action, you see that will let you know, okay, it's okay to buy or to sell. All right, thank you. Sabina, do you have any other things in addition to that?
No, ma'am.
You agree with him totally? Eh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, now write this down. How to trade an uptrend. How to trade an uptrend. I've written that down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so right. When the market is bullish or on an uptrend, the first thing to ask yourself is the market on an impulsive move at the moment, or is it doing a pullback? First up. So, number one, look for the major support zone. So enter a buy. These are the three places I want to give you now are where you buy an uptrend. It does not change, does not change, and it's not change. Look for all the major support areas to buy. That's one. Next one. Buy around the lower trend line. Buy around the lower trend line. Lower trend line of the uptrend. Buy around the lower trend line of the uptrend. Buy around the lower trend line of the uptrend. I've written that.
Yes, ma'am.
Now the third one is to buy at every resistance that became a support. At the resistance that became a support. Resistance that became a support. In brackets, put swing point. So it's like you're saying you're looking for all the swing points to buy, meaning all the resistance that became support in this uptrend, those are where you want to buy. If you've written that down, please drop a 9 on the box. Good. Now look at my screen back. Let me explain what I just said. Now the 3 points where I want to buy, I said number 1, look for the support. This was the first support, right? This box. But after then, I also said something. You also buy at the lower trend line. You can see on this trend now, there's an up trend line. There is a upper trend line. I have 2 trend line. Trend line is that diagonal line that goes up. The diagonal line, right? Now, this is the lower trend line. This is the upper trend line. If you notice, the upper trend line is where the pullbacks happen. That's where the market was selling from, around this diagonal line. That's where the retracement move. But because you want to enter around the buy areas, the lower trend line. So look at this, where my support was falling to was also around the trend line. So let's say the market broke out from here now. Like this buy move broke above this resistance zone. When I was waiting, I'll be waiting for it to come back. Coincidentally, when it was coming back, it also met a trend line. So it's like me having more than one confirmation. Oh, I'm buying around this lower trend line. And it also happens to be a zone where the market broke out. That was a resistance that became support. So this is what I mean by the lower trend line, not this upper trend line. If you understand the lower trend line I'm referring to now, please drop 1 on the chat box very quickly. Good. So that's how you buy in an uptrend. All right. Now, that's for uptrend. Those are the conditions you consider when you buy. Later, when we now start drawing support and resistance, and you now understand candlestick patterns, you now know, oh, okay, is this a particular candle closed around this zone? It's telling me, oh yeah, it's a high time to buy, it's a high time to sell. All right, that's for an uptrend. We're still going to go on the chart. You tell me whether you're seeing an uptrend or a downtrend. Okay, now let's still now go into a downtrend. You know, we just discussed an uptrend. But from what you just learned, who can tell me how many moves does the trend has? Put it on the chat box. How many moves? Let me be sure you know. You still remember what we just discussed, rather, sorry. How many moves does an uptrend has? So what are those moves, Sabina?
Ma, you said we have the impulsive move, which is also known as the impulse move, sorry, not impulsive, also known as the major move, and then we have the retracement or corrective or resting move.
So which move would you be trading on an uptrend? Are you trading with an impulse or you're trading the retracement move? Toby, which one are you doing?
Coach, I didn't get the question again. What you just said last.
It's like you left the class. In an uptrend,
Okay.
what would you be trading? The impulse move or the retracement move?
Majorly the impulse move.
Good. Because the impulse move is telling you the direction, meaning the buy.
Yeah.
So you want to trade the buy, right? Okay, so now let's go into the downtrend. You can put that down, downtrend. So write this down. Don't be erasing what you have on the screen. Remember, we said there are two types of trend, uptrend and downtrend. So now we're trying to add the downtrend.
Sorry, ma, please, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
A little, not really.
Not really. Are you sure your
I can hear
screen?
you.
You can hear me now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Don't worry, I've not said anything. I said now we are going into the downtrend.
Okay, ma'am.
Now, most people expect that the market is going to be moving straight like this. Am I still sharing my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Most people expect that the market will move straight down. No, but the market does not work that way. In a downtrend, just like the name implies, we are coming down, is it not? And then we want to sell. That's a major move of a downtrend, a sell move. Coming, you're still on the right. I'm trying to figure out. I would downtrend, but on the chart, it's not going to be straight lines. It's not going to be like straight lines. Don't worry, as time goes on, events I get fine. Because what you've been seeing on the chart are candles that represent the price. Another thing to note is that you see the retracement move, they are always shorter than the major move. Major moves is always longer. You can see where you have the impulsive moves, they're always shorter. Now, this is what I do. Now, look at the screen. This was a downtrend. You can see the market moved down. It's like moving from, imagine you're moving from the fifth floor. You're on the fifth story building, right? Meaning you're coming down from that fifth floor. What does it mean? You're going to be breaking every floor now. You need to break the roof of the fourth floor to get to the third floor. Meaning you're going to be breaking every support, everything that is a floor on your way until you get to the down floor. That's the same thing. That's how it looks like on a downtrend. At some point, you have to break through the floor to get to the next floor, break through every floor to get to the next floor. Every roof on your way, you break it, you break it. That's how a downtrend looks like. So write this down also. Write these notes. A downtrend is also characterized by an impulsive move, which is a sell. I said a downtrend is also characterized by an impulsive move, which is the sell. And a retracement move. I didn't draw this straight line well. A retracement move, which is the buy. First up. Have you written that down? If you've written that, let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, right, is also characterized by lower highs and lower lows. Lower highs and lower lows. It's characterized by lower highs and lower lows. First off. So the question should be, okay, how do I trade it also? Is it not? Now, the same way you trade an uptrend is almost the same way you trade this too. The same rule still applies. So write this down, how to trade a downtrend. How to trade a downtrend. Number one, you sell at the resistance. You sell at the resistance. That's the number one place you trade. Sell at the resistance. Number two, you sell at the upper trend line. This is the upper trend line. Sell at the upper trend line. Have you written that down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the third place, you sell at every support that became resistance. So what it means is it's still now a resistance. You sell at every support. Sorry. You sell at every support that became resistance. In brackets, now write swing points. First up. Let me know when we've written that down. If you've written that down, put a 7 on the chat box so I can share my screen on chat and then so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so everybody, let's go to your MetaTrader. I'm gonna make myself go first and share my screen. Just a moment. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to my screen. What trend are you seeing? Are you seeing an uptrend or a downtrend? if you're seeing an uptrend, I'm on XAU USD. You too, you might want to go there on your MT4, right? But before you go there, just pay attention to the screen. What are you seeing, an uptrend or a downtrend? If you're seeing an uptrend, put up on the chart. If you're seeing a downtrend, put D on the chart. Hurry up. Okay, both of you are seeing up. Good. Now remember what I told you, that an uptrend always has two moves. Who remembers that? A major move and a pullback. If you look at this uptrend you're seeing on my screen, there was a point. It looks like if the market was moving up, then you see a pullback move again. See, it moved from this point where I put the first line. I stopped here. Where it stopped, around that 1736 where I put the line, was like a resistance. What's the resistance? I said resistance is where the market has sold in the past. Now, based on my charts, the red lines, the red candles represent the sell candles, right? And my buy candles are represented by those blue candles. Now, look at this line where I put that 1736 zone. Remember, it's the zone, not just one line. Around there, you can see in the past, more than once, more than twice, even on my screen, you can see that red candle started falling down from there. That's like a resistance zone. But because the market is still going up, at some point, what happened? The market broke above it. But before it broke out of that zone, there was a slight pullback. That's the retracement move I was talking about. Look at how the retracement moves looks like. Hold on. You can see. So this is similar to what I was trying to drop for you on the screen previously. So this small trend line I drew inside where the sell came down, you can see when the sell got to that upper trend line as the lower trend line, the one that represents the uptrend. What did you see that happen? The market started buying. But before you started buying from there, the same zone around the 1713 on my screen was where the market broke out from. So the three conditions I told you, you buy from a support or a resistance that became a support. This place was a resistance, that's 1713, around 46 area, was also a resistance, but it broke. The market broke above it and stopped at 1736 area, pulled back down to retest that same roof that now became support. It continued buying again. You can see it started another impulsive move. And it bought, went up again, and stopped here. Hold on. Look at it, got here again and did another retracement move. That's why when you're looking, you need to be able to say, oh, is it retracing at the moment? If it's retracing, where am I going to wait for the buy when it wants to start? Because we're on an uptrend. When he got here again, did you see how he pulled back? He continued again. But by the time he continued, he broke out of here, right? This was a previous roof. What happened? The market has come back there to retest. So if it breaks above that zone right now, this is another zone where I'll be waiting to buy in between here. That's how the uptrend looks like on your charts. So this H4 I just showed you. Remember I told you when you're looking at the trend, you don't want to trade below H4. H4 means 4 hours. So when you do this on your screen, you see daily. D1 means daily time frame. I mean, every candle you see, if you put it on D1, each of those candles showed you what happened in a day. If you're seeing H4, what it means is each of those candles, which is the price, represented by price, tells you what happened in this market in the last 4 hours. Was the market buying? Do you understand H1? But for analyzing a trend, you don't want to go below 4 hours. If I want to see the bigger time frame, I'll start from daily. But I was just trying to use this as an example of an uptrend. So in this my chart now, who could see the major move and the impulsive move from what I just drew? If you saw the major move and the impulsive move, drop a 1 on that chart. If you could see the pullback and the major move, drop a 1 on the chat box. Good. So the thing about trading markets is all hard. That's all. So I think someone put it. Oh, my internet is breaking. Sorry. Okay. So does anyone want to make a trial? Let's go on your chat and you show me an example of where you're seeing an uptrend. Who wants to go first, Sabina or Toby? So I can stop sharing my screen. Because the thing about uptrend is you just need to take a look at it. Is this market moving up or down? Who wants to go first? Let me know who wants to go.
Go first.
Okay, so let's go. Let me make you co-host. Go and check for the uptrend. So Sabina, I've made you co-host. Okay, Sabina, I'm waiting. Good. So let me see. What markets are you looking at? What currency?
AUD, USD. I'm still checking for currency.
I told you be checking your own down. I can hear you. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
You as moments. Hope you're on H4.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember I said lower M64. Okay. So as at that point, that part. Yeah, okay, good. Just this point, that part you know, the market was an uptrend.
Yes,
Okay, I
ma'am.
said the uptrend part. So from that move,
Ma'am? I can't hear you.
just a
Hello.
moment. Don't worry, just a moment. You hear me? Okay, good. Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You can get through on the chat box. Toby, can you hear? Put it through on the chat box. I'm not sure if it's Sabina's now. Okay, it's breaking. I think that must be network.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So, Sabina, I said that chart you were showing,
Yes, ma'am.
can you try and just the way I brought out a line, can you map out all the pullback move in the particular option you're talking about? Mark out the pullback move, at least mark out two.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm saying don't worry, I'm paying attention to what you're doing.
Okay.
You know why it's going to be difficult for you to mark it out that way? Because the uptrend you're looking at has already passed. You understand? So let me do this. Man, look for another chart where the last part is still on an uptrend. You understand? Go and look for
Okay.
another currency. Not what has passed, but the last part of the story is still on an uptrend. All right, thank you very much. At least you showed you understood what we're talking about. Toby, over to you. Right now, Toby, you must have looked for the. Sabina, you can stop sharing.
Okay, ma'am.
Toby, I've made you.
Okay, ma. Coach, everything I'm seeing is most likely a downtrend.
You're only seeing downtrends. Majority of markets is on a downtrend, but you've not checked. Go and check. If you check very well, you'll see it.
Okay, ma.
Everything I'm seeing is on a downtrend.
Ma, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Okay, everything. Okay, so at least you learned both downtrend, right? And so probably use downtrend to do example for us then.
Okay.
Use the downtrend. You don't work. Use the downtrend. You do an example for us.
Let me go back.
You use a downtrend.
Coach, I think it's a downtrend.
You said what?
I said, I believe it's a downtrend, ma.
Okay. Show me the part of the downtrend you're referring to.
Okay.
Because if I'm looking at the last part you're showing me, that one is looking as if it's ranging and wants to break out of the downtrend. So you have to explain very well.
Okay, I'm not looking at this last part, like this in between the middle, something like this place.
Okay.
So
Let's see. Don't worry, let me give you an easy way out. Go and look for another currency there.
Okay, ma.
I'm still with you. The last part, what did you notice about Euro USD? That last part, what do you think is happening?
think is moving sideways.
Good. It's moving sideways. I'm glad you're
Yes.
noticing that. So, okay, good. Sabina, do you also agree with him that the last part of that EUSD on your screen is moving sideways?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you call that kind of market?
It's a ranging market.
Exactly. Now, if anyone was trading this, you can see there's like a support where the candles buy. But in a ranging market, it's not equal. There are sometimes it bought at some certain, then there was a time it broke, it shot a little bit down. That's why it's difficult to trade a ranging market. It's better you wait for it to break out fully. But the resistance zone, it was respecting the resistance zone. So you can see where all the sales are happening from. So if somebody has been entering this ranging market, moving from the resistance zone, you would have been making some money, but it's risky, sure. Okay, so Toby, now thank you. Now move to the left very well. To the
Yes.
past, yeah, good. You can see where it was moving down. Stop. Don't go far. Good. Now look at the way the market moves.
Yes, ma.
It will do major move, it will do the impulsive sell, then you will see all those short buys that was doing the pullback.
Yes,
Hope you
ma.
saw it.
Yes, ma.
Then at some point it will break. Oh, I put some horizontal lines where it broke. Like, let me see, we're not even the impulsive mode now, but put it where it broke each flow and continue selling. Mark out some zones.
Okay.
The next class will focus very well on marking out zones very well. That way you'll now be able to draw the trend line. Mark out every zone. Good. There's a zone around there that got broken. Don't push it so up, but just look at it very well. And remember, don't just put one line. Remember, like
Yes,
I told
ma.
you, 2 zones. Yeah. So you can see the red brick line that broke that support. That's why I said in every downtrend, expect that the markets will break through the support. Good. But this your lines, you've not keyed it until you remove the dot dots at the edge. You need to tap so it won't be shaking up. Good.
Yes.
Next class, I'll teach you how to connect the trend line after you marked out the zone. So what you want to do for me, mark out all the zones. Now mark out another zone again. Another zone in that downtrend.
I think this area here.
Mark it down if you're sure now. Before that one, there's another. Just see, this is what you want when you mark out to make it easy.
Okay.
Look for anywhere you see buy candles. Those are the supports. Then see if a red candle broke below where those buys happen. That's another zone for you to mark out. That's how I mark out my zones. Like before the one you put now, there's another one where buy candles were happening. It broke out. You've missed like two. So all those buy candles. Before that one, there's still another good. That's one. You can see the market bought there once, twice before a red candle broke below it. That's another
Yes,
zone.
ma.
Sabina, I hope you're paying attention. So that's why I mark out zone. Just look at the left in the history, you'll see if that zone was actually a zone. So mark out that zone. Before that zone, Toby, there's still another buy candle that broke out. A red later broke below it that you've not marked out.
Okay, ma.
That's how you pay attention to it.
Is it this place, ma?
Exactly. There's other zone there. There's a zone there. So you can now put 2 lines. I always say you can mark the wick and the body close to it.
Like this, ma.
Yes, it's still fine. Over time, you get better. Good. So key the 2 lines there. Now that first one you marked out, you can see you did not key one of the lines. The thing is just, it has dropped from where it was before. The very first one you marked, the way
Yes,
2
ma.
lines, move it up, that line has shifted. It's too big. You can see that zone, there's too much space. There's a line you need to move up. Now, did you wait? I want to show you something on that range. Did you notice that the 2 lines you drew from your past, It's like a
Yes,
support.
ma.
It's like you marking out this support and resistance of this ranging market. Did you notice?
Yes, it's obvious. Yes.
Okay. But at some point, it was breaking out a little bit above that zone. Can you see some candles closed above it?
Yes, ma.
Yeah, but that's the danger of the ranging market, because sometimes when you think you marked out, it's still overshot. There are some still, so there's still like a resistance at the top. That's why it's difficult to trade, because what if you entered where you marked out the line as a resistance and you now put 30 pips, and that 30 pips, the candle still got there and it's still there coming down inside the range again. That's one of the difficulties of trading a ranging market. So let's go back to the left where you were before.
Yes. Let me keep it.
Now,
Oh, is it okay like this?
okay. See that line. The line is not here.
But I can't hear you.
The line is not keyed. It's the dot is still showing. So key that line there. Now let's even see if you can try and draw a trend line. See what you just want to do. Remember the way
Okay,
I
ma.
drew my trend line. You want to see if the cells, each of the cells where the cells can do stuff there. If you can connect it to the next one where you drew those lines to. Try and drag it a trend line. Don't worry. Just go to where you pick lines from that symbol. You don't have to get it today. Click on the plus trend line. Pick trend line.
Okay, ma.
Now let's drag. You're confused.
Let me start again, ma.
No problem. But you can please wait before it starts. You can move that line anyhow you want. It's not going to do anything to you. You are the one handling the line. So if you just put it anywhere you want, if it's not where you want, you can just drag the line. In as much as those dots appear on the line, go and click this particular trend line you put on the screen. In as much as those dots appear on it, they want a hair. Once you have that dot, you can drag it, or you drag it to where you feel you want to go and drag it to. No, a hair. Good. Now that's the idea. Good. Now shift the downside where you have that dot, the last dot on this line. That's where you use and move it. Good. You're getting it. You're drawing the lower trend line. So drag. Good. Shift it. Keep adjusting till you feel you're good. It's not going to do you anything. Don't worry. You don't have to. Good. You understand? That's how just drag. It's not hard. If you are scared of the line, until you feel you can drag it to where you are. It has keyed right now, so you can't move it. Now shift the upper parts a little bit. Go to the
Like
edge,
this.
the one. Toby, Father, I'm proud of you. Now
Ah.
key that line. Key the line. Key the line. When I mean key the line, let those dots remove. Just tap the line. Good. What you just did is the lower part of the trend line. How do you know you are correct? On this trend line, you can see there was a wick that touched it at the lowest part. The
Yes,
wick of
ma.
that cell candle. There was another cell candle that touched it. That was the zone you marked out. The last zone you marked out, it touched it. Then the very first zone you marked out, the cell candle, the tip of the wick, it also touched it. Now, how you know a trend line? At least 2 points must touch it. At
Okay, ma.
least 2 swing points, meaning must touch at least 2 swing points. That way you're good. So the line is not bended. Now let's go and try if you can put the upper trend line. Sabina, be paying attention. You see, do your.
Okay, ma'am.
Let's go and pick another trend line. Plus, good trend line. And this time you want to put it at the top. You want to form the upper trend line. Don't worry, don't be scared. Just drag it any way you want. Even if you drop it at the wrong place first, you can now be dragging it down. Toby to bed. Keep dragging. No, don't worry. Don't be scared. Keep dragging. Keep dragging. Keep dragging. Don't worry. Keep dragging. You can move it later, even if it's not correct. Oh yeah, shift
Yeah.
that line. As if you touch the body of the train line and move it. Move it so that edge. Good, good. It's looking like it. Though this particular trend is looking as if it wants to deceive you with that rain line. I know you don't got it perfectly, but over time you get to perfect it. So
Yes, ma.
what you drew now, do you have two touches?
No.
That tells you did not draw it well. There must be at least two. So look at where the cell started from and see if the tip, either the wick of the candle can touch that train line or the candle itself. At least if you have two, you'll be correct. Although this particular trend is a little bit dicey for no. The candles are the cells are totally out of it. Your train line must be covering it. But you try, don't be clap for yourself. Don't worry. Today we're not meant to draw the train, but you still give it a try. So next time when we start trying, when we get there, it will become easier for you, right? I'm proud of you. Hold on, bro.
Okay, ma. Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
So, you've come to the end of today's class. So Sabina, this assignment I'm going to give all of you. You're going to look for both uptrends and downtrends and go and mark. I'll just put horizontal lines on every support and resistance you're seeing in that market. Do for Euro USD, do for GBP USD, do for USD card, and send me the screenshot. So who has any questions so far?
Ma, please, can you repeat that again, ma?
Euro USD,
Okay, ma.
GBP USD, and USD card.
Okay, ma.
That's the assignment. Any questions so far?
I'm sorry, please, what's the last currency pair?
USD card, Euro USD, and GBP USD. Just mark out the zones. By zones, I mean put those horizontal lines. Send. So did you get that now, Sabina?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So is there any question? Anyone? No question.
Oh.
All right. So you understood everything we said today.
I have a question.
Then ask.
Okay, so
Hurry
ma,
up and ask. I have another question.
during the uptrend or the downtrend, sometimes like in the analysis you were showing us, the exam you were showing us on gold and USD for the uptrend, the previous ceiling that became the new support. What am I saying? Like it did not get there. Like when you marked out the zone for the first ceiling, the next support did not get there.
The next support did not get there.
Yes.
I don't know what you mean by that, but maybe I'll go back there and share.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, like now, you said if you want to trade an uptrend, I should look for the previous resistance that becomes new support.
Team support.
Ma'am?
All right, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
So, where did you not get to? Remember focusing on the uptrend. So how did you not get? I don't get. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes, Mike, I can see your screen.
So which part are you saying you did not get to?
So like the second pullback, the one you use the trend lines to mark out in the on the
The
chart.
second pullback, this one,
Yes, ma'am.
it did not get, it got to the trend line now. Have you forgotten the three conditions where you buy? One, you buy the support. This was the very first support. Look at this line. I moved to the very least. This was the first support the market bought
Yes.
from, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you wouldn't expect the market to come back here. Sometimes it can, if it's forming what we call a W format, right? That's double bottom. But this is the beginning of this trend, this H4 trend, because this was where this buy. So the first roof it encountered, this was the zone where you have the roof. Do you agree that this first roof between that 709 and 714 area was the first roof it got to? Do you agree? I need you to agree. Like the first resistance zone it got to after it moved.
Wow. Okay, yes.
Sabina, do you agree with me?
Yes.
That was the first roof now. That was the first resistance. But what happened? There was a blue candle, that very small blue candle that closed right above that zone. That was where it broke out. After that blue candle, it was followed by two small, what do you call it? Two small red candles. That was the retest. Then it moved up, it broke up very well. Then the pullback move happened. Sorry, let me turn to candle. The pullback, that was what this is the pullback that I said. This is a retracement move. Look and see, the retracement came back right to the trend line, the lower trend line. And I thought anytime the market gets to the lower trend line, what do? You buy. And that same lower trend line, that blue candle, when the next second move happened, was still sitting on that 1714 line, meaning the market came back to the roof and it started making its way up. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Now let's move to the third one. There was another roof here. Who can see that roof? Where I put this line? Do you agree that that place is a resistance? Remember, resistance is anywhere the market has sold. So going to the left, you see that the market sold from this next place I marked out around 1740 and 1744. Do you agree with me? Sabina, you're the one that asked the question. So I need your attention. Do you agree that that place is a resistance that the market broke out from?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. But when it came to the retest, it did not get there fully. Because if I want to mark out the area, looking to the left, there's still a weak here. It didn't get to the lowest part. But it got to this trend line. That's the lower trend line. And then it started going up from the lower trend line. There was a red candle that has a long wick that eats on that trend line, and it started buying. So meaning if it does not the first time, he bought at the resistance that became support. Then the third time, he bought on the trend line. So these are still the conditions of the buy. So what are you saying? Even here again, this week, if you go on 1 hour, it's going to be blue candles. It came again to the trend line. Look at where I put it came again to the trend line, and it started moving up from there. Do you understand now?
Yes, ma'am.
So those are the areas I want to buy around the lower line. Those are still the things you wrote down in your notes, or resistance that became support. The thing about resistance that became support is not every time it comes back to retest immediately. Look at the first time this place broke out of here. Wait, let me use this place for you. Let me remove this so you can see. How many candles happened before it came back to retest? It took long candles. Look at, hold on. Remember, we're on a 4 hours. So the very first beginning of this buy trend, it took 4 hours. That first video was 4 hours. Another 4 hours for the second blue candle to close. That's like 8 hours. Another 4 hours because we're on a 4-hour time. Another 4 hours, that's like 12 hours. Then another 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. That's like the next day. It was the next day before the market came back to retest. And each of these was 4 hours until it got to this trend line to start buying again. that took more than 3 days before it now continued the move up. So it's not something that it's not every time the market retests immediately, especially for all the major retracement. It might take time, but the most important thing is you are looking for where am I buying. So that if you see the buy areas, even if you're not there, you can now set a buy limit. That's why we told you that pending orders, you're waiting for the price to come to your entry. That's the essence of waiting using buy limit and the rest of them. Have I answered your question now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So please do the assignment and send to me. Okay, send to me. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you on Monday. Your assignment today and tomorrow. And try to go over the notes today. If you go through the notes today, you'll still refresh your memory and try to mark out some chart on your own too as practice. Trust me, practice is what you get better as a trader. All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of today's class. If you got some value, please put some value on the chat box. Let me see if you got some value from today's class. You learned something, put it on the chat box. Value, okay. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have an amazing weekend.